I showed up.
Accepting. There we go.
Oh my gosh, the gang's all here almost. Yay! It's all here. Everyone showed up. Killing it. Sunday vibes.
I like have the biggest square. Like
I know, and I always never quite know. I have to always reposition when we do 3 people because it's
yeah, I'm like I don't want anyone to see my empty shelves. Like
at least you clean them.
At least you have a fancy chair.
Yeah.
Oh, her chair is gorgeous, eh? As we're sitting on our like dining chairs.
That's exactly what mine is too.
Yeah.
The thing I had to do to get this chair, I saw it on Facebook Marketplace and I was like, that's the chair for me. And I drove out into the middle of nowhere to get this chair, and I thought I was gonna die because the person who was selling it was like, oh, my house isn't seen from the road, so you have to kind of like go off and like into like the forest.
That's concerning when someone's
and I went like down like a hill and stuff, and I was like I don't feel good about this.
Well, I feel like that's like a perfect thing for like a mystery novel. So
well, yeah. And then like she was like
orange.
She was like arsenic and old lace, okay? Like she was like just had that vibe. And so she was like, okay, like just come into my house now. And I was like, okay. I did, because that's what any rational Midwestern would do instead of being rude about it. But I got the chair. It was fine. So.
And she didn't kill you. So
the point is, she survived getting the chair, and we're all.
It literally sounds like the beginning of a Stephen King movie, though, or book.
Yeah, pretty much. Like the premise, the whole idea is that she just wanted an orange chair for her office, and it ended in arsenic
and old lace.
Yeah, pretty much. That was a really beautiful opening. That was a brilliant chat.
Hey, everybody who has joined this nightmare.
I got bangs this week.
Woo! I was gonna say you look different.
Yeah. I decided new year, new elf. So yeah. Meg and I were talking about what I should do with my hair, and it was between let's just chop it all off or get bangs, or do I go blonde?
I got bangs.
I got bangs. But I sweep them to the side a lot because I'm not used to them, and I feel like they look kind of weird. So I anyway.
I like them. I think they look playful.
Am I a playful person? Am I?
I mean, in the sense, like, cheetahs play with their food before they eat it. I don't know. You're textbook Aries. All right, guys. Welcome back to So You Wanna, a show for writers by writers. Tonight, you might notice we have a special guest. Yay!
Woohoo!
So just to give you an idea, if this is your first time tuning in, Elle is right here, started this show as a means to build a writing community, build onto the writing community, and we just wanted to create like a place for people to come together and talk the mechanics and genres and everything that is writing. So when we say, so you want a show for writers by writers, we absolutely mean it. We couldn't do the show without you guys and your suggestions, and tonight's show is about mystery, which I know you guys have been asking for a long time. Like I said, we've got Tani here. We brought her in. She's kind of, the expert for tonight.
Oh,
so any and all questions you have, you can probably lob them at her and, give Elle and I a break, right?
Yeah, give us a break.
I'm Meg. I have so many books planned this year, so y'all should really, really, really be concerned about me. Just kidding.
Not really.
I'm the writer of the Miranda Rights trilogy. A couple of broody poetry books, Shallow and In Deep. Birds and Bullets, Holiday Affair, The Ostler's Boy. I bore you guys every week with that. But yeah, Elle, you want to introduce yourself and we'll get to Tawny here?
Yeah, hi, I'm Elle of the trio here. And last week we learned that I do not just randomly draw a line on my arm, you guys. It is actually a tattoo whenever you see it. I am a contemporary romance author who also dabbles in poetry a little bit. And the poetry is not at all sad. Don't let Meg tell you otherwise. But you can find all the links to my work in my link tree on my page. If you are not following me, give me a follow. That's how you can find out updates on anything I am doing. As for what you can read, we've got For the Love of Art, which was shortlisted for the Waddies this year, A Very Colorgwyn Christmas, which is my holiday novella, but good any time of the year. And third but not least, I have my romance read, which is book 1 in a series of 5 books. And it should be actually completed and out on Tuesday. There's still a couple more chapters coming, but it's almost binge ready for you. In poetry, we have my book Elle, which is my journey through having a parent with addiction and the grief of his death, and then my random poetry book, Under the Starry Sky. As Meg said, we have a guest, and we're super excited that Tawny decided to join us. So Tawny, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your work and where we can find you?
Well, thank you for inviting me. First of all, I'm honored and excited. I'm Tawny. I write primarily Christian romance and Christian romantic suspense. I wasn't planning on being a suspense or mystery writer, but that's kind of how it happened because I'm somebody who doesn't plan, but I think it made it more fun. I
Would
also
you say it was a mystery what you were writing?
It was a mystery. Yeah. Cryptic. I also write sweet romance and sorry, my family. I have written Scarlet Scars, Blazes Night, Secrets, Lies, and Deadly Ties, and Once Upon a Frost. Scarlet Scars, Blazes Night, and Once Upon a Frost are available on Wattpad. My name on there is Tawny Scripted, but my romantic suspense specifically is on Kindle Vella. It's called Secrets. It's the Secrets, Lies, and Deadly Ties. And I had to take that off of Wattpad to put it on the Kindle Vella, so that's where it is, and I'm uploading chapters on there regularly. Like I said, I never planned. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
On the Kindle Vella there, Tawny Scripted is your name on Wattpad, but on Vella you are just Tawny Suchi.
Just my name. Yep, that's where I am on everything, and I have a link in bio thing in my on my Instagram profile, so like all my links are up there. So that's about it.
Just want to make sure I write that all down so that when I recite it off later, I'm saying it all. Guys, we have a lot coming this year. We've got a podcast, website, merchandise, but for now, you can join us on Discord, which is where we've yoinked Tawny from. So if you are a writer and you have a specialty and you're thinking, hey, I could do this show and I could talk about it and whatever, I mean, reach out. We are looking for everybody, and it is a free way to advertise your work and basically talk about yourself and sick brag for an hour with us, right? So
if you can handle us for an hour.
So today we're going to be covering mystery, and we've got your questions. They're all going to be at the end. If you have any in the meantime, you can throw it in the chat, and we will get to them as we go. And yeah, you guys want to get started?
Yeah, absolutely.
You have a new mug this week. This Van Gogh Sunflowers. I'm kind of obsessed with it. It like matches my chair here. All right.
Just something like orange.
I don't know where it went. I had a Van Gogh. I cleaned my my desk this weekend. I had a Van Gogh artwork up there, but yeah, guys, that's my favorite artist. Okay. Anyway, let's start with how you plot a mystery. So a mystery is going to be plotted pretty much the same as you would a drama novel. You have the introduction, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and then the conclusion. So it's a pretty easy 5-step process there. The biggest difference here is that when you are planning your rising action, you need to be thinking about the clues. Whereas like a drama, things just kind of fall into place. The mystery is really more like you want your readers to be thinking like, oh my God, what's going on?
You want breadcrumbs. That's how I looked at it. Yeah.
Yep. So instead of your rising action being a straight line, it should have small peaks and also valleys, all the way up. And these peaks are going to be clues that you drop throughout the novel, and then the valleys are like questions. So essentially,
under what she's saying, it's to look kind of like that, like peaks and valleys.
So essentially, you're asking, you know, what does that clue mean? And then you don't want to forget that you're giving these clues to, or as you're giving these clues, to throw in red herrings, which is all part of the fun. A red herring is like a mislead. So a way to like distract or kind of confuse and muddy up the waters, because, you know, we love to do that. The climax in a mystery novel is going to be the big reveal. And this is where you find out who the person who committed the crime was all along. And then you want to keep in mind that your conclusion needs to be fair. So don't suddenly introduce characters without setting them up early in the book. And conclusions need to be founded, like well-founded, in order to satisfy the mystery reader. So kind of what I said, where like you can't just bring somebody in and be like, oh my gosh, it's this random person we've never met, and when you rip off the Scooby-Doo mask, there it is. A good example of that Scooby-Doo is you always meet who the person is gonna be at some point in the episode, right? So they're there. Don't judge me for using Scooby-Doo. That's a good
example. I'm not judging at all. Not at all. It just made me laugh, that's all.
Let's see. We had questions here. So...
Just 1 second. I'm just... Okay.
Okay,
Craig, thank you for calling me a favorite TikToker. I do enjoy it.
I like that I was listed in that. I assume you meant Tani, because I visit TikTok like every...
She said my 2 favorite TikTokers and Meg. So yeah, Tani
and Meg. Yes, awesome. Great.
So what I was showing in the graph is that like a typical story, this is backwards, I know, follows like you have your introduction, then your rising action, climax, falling action, conclusion. So in a mystery novel, it's like you have your introduction, and then this is your way up. It's got the clue at the peaks and then questions in the valley. So you're still going up in suspense. It's just that it's these are kind of here to help remind you that you need to drop things along the way to the top for your big reveal, and then you have your falling action and conclusion. So kind of.
And if I can throw in, the drop can sometimes be part of the red herring too. Like you have somebody who they're like, oh my gosh, it's this person, and then all of a sudden you find out that it can't be that person. So you kind of drop back down and you have more questions, and then that's kind of
it's like a fun roller coaster, guys.
Yeah.
So as always, you know, when you are venturing into a new genre, we recommend that you read said genres. So if you are going to be embarking on writing mystery, then you should probably read some mystery novels ahead of time. From classics to contemporaries, mystery novels offer you a lot of advice. And, you know, once you finish reading that novel, you can go back from page 1 and like read it again and see like, oh, okay, this is how I was led to the big reveal. Which is kind of like a neat mechanism to work backwards like that to see how that works. I feel like when you read within the genre that you're working in, you kind of see what you like about things and what you don't like, and that kind of helps you find your voice as a writer, like how you want to go about doing it. There's, you know, as I say, this is in no way endorse this, but there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat, right? So, all right. When you plot, you need to. I know it's so dark.
I'm sorry, just both Tawny's and my faces. We were both like,
Okay, but that is a friend. There's a skull above me, and you guys are like.
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm laughing because both Tawny and I had the same like we're just here, guys. We're just here.
For the record, I would never hurt a cat or any living creature ever. I sing to birds, okay? Like, I love all animals. I don't condone that phrase. It's just,
you guys, it's true. Even
people
geese,
say.
even geese, which I'm terrified of geese. If anyone needs to know what I'm scared of, it's geese. And even Meg is like, no, Goose, get off the road. And she's like driving, and I'm like, no.
I don't want them to die. Okay, I would not be shamed for having respect for life. All right.
Okay.
Anyway, so when you're plotting a mystery, you need to be conscious of every detail of the crime. So basically, you need to have committed the crime in your head before you start writing it. And then you're just gonna, like, once you know it inside out, you're gonna be able to map out what, when, where, how, why. So yeah, like, just be thinking about that. Having already committed it in your head, you can work backwards there. And then you also need to research the crime itself. We do say, write what you know, and then go back and like research and fix it and whatever. But if you're going to be writing about poisoning someone, you're going to end up on a list. You're probably going to, need to look at what are the like symptoms of someone who have been poisoned, so you can stage the crime in your book. So then people can be like, oh, that guy was poisoned because he's got foam at his mouth and whatever. I don't know. I don't poison people. Or pickpocketing or murder or whatever. You need to know the mechanics that are at play here. So I just saw the chat go up. Yeah. End up on the FBI list. Yeah. 100%. But many crime novels.
I like snakes, and I'm gonna tell you guys, no, I'm terrified of them. Anytime I wonder why I live somewhere where I walk outside and my face freezes, I then remember that places that are warm have a lot of snakes and spiders and things, and I'm not okay with that. Like, not okay at all.
I like snakes. I think they're really pretty. I don't want to like hang out with a snake. Do I have a snake up here? I feel like I probably have some snake related something in here. If you've read the Miranda rights, there's a lot of snakes in there. So, all right. Yeah. If you were asking if I like snakes, yes, I like snakes. I like all things. Okay. Also possums. Those are really cute, and everybody thinks those are ugly. Okay. Okay. So many crime novels open up on the crime itself. So you basically just open the door and get a glimpse or, a major view of it. So that's a good way to open with intrigue and hook your mystery reader or whatever. You can also use things like flashbacks, flash forwards, different time to keep your readers intrigued and kind of also like divvy out information to them as you go. Biggest thing here is just make sure that you have strong character development. So make sure that the end game here, the crime or whatever has affected your characters, your main and your side characters, and just remember that you're dealing with, human beings, not stereotypes. So your main character, whether they're an amateur sleuth or a professional detective, functions as the eyes and the ears of the reader. So therefore they should be relatable and, have faults and everything like that. So your bad guys should also be complex and have clear motives. But at the same time, I'm not going to say make your bad guy relatable, but make him a good villain, right? So, Possums are cute. Yes, they are.
Canada is too cold. It sure is. Let me tell you guys, last week, or not last week, but like the week before, it was minus 50 here. I wanted to die. It was awful.
Okay, that's in Celsius for everybody who's in America.
Yeah, for all the Americans, that's in Celsius, but actually Fahrenheit and Celsius meet at minus 50. So anyway, it was really cold. So yeah, I literally, there's a video on TikTok for anyone who wants to see it of me throwing boiling water over my head. That's how cold it was here. It was terrible. So anyway.
I laughed at that because I sent it to Ellen. I said, you really have to trust in science to do that. Because, like, it's, like, steaming, and she throws it, and it turns into...
I literally threw it, like, over my head, so...
Basil calling me out, him or her villain. Yes, I am, you know, equally okay with anybody who wants to be bad in a bad guy role, I guess. That sounds so weird. This has been, like, the weirdest things I've said. Like, I feel like if somebody does voice clips of this is just gonna be bad for me.
Never
so
run
one
for
thing
political
you want
office.
to do while you're doing this, not only know the crime and all the pieces of it, but make a list of suspects. And, you know, think of it like when you're writing a mystery, you're basically crafting a puzzle. So the most vital piece of that puzzle is typically going to be the criminal's identity. But like a good mystery is going to introduce several potential suspects. Like you might meet the guy like right off the bat and be like, oh yeah, that guy did it. But there should be like, or girl, that girl did it. You know, there should be like other people that you're like, wait a second, this person's giving me sus vibes too, you know, because otherwise it's like less of a mystery and more of like a drama if you know who's done it, right? So yeah, again, you just need to make sure that you have multiple suspects, including your actual culprit, and then make their motives clear as you progress through the story. And yeah, so this is where you're going to use a lot of the show don't tell, and you want to use descriptive writing and create scenes that allow your readers to kind of like explore and discover the clues. You don't have to be heavy-handed with the clues when you put them out there, but you do want to make sure that they are in there. Even if your main character misses them, you want your readers to be able to go back and pick it up. Like if they're reading your novel and they go back, they should be like, oh man, there it is. So yeah. And then finally, as kind of mentioned it earlier with the red herring, you want to misdirect your readers. Tani has more on red herrings, but they should be scattered throughout. Misdirection is like a big part of the fun of mystery, and it ups the suspense and builds engagement, and it just kind of keeps your audience running into the sudden twists and turns and dead ends of your book. So yeah, you just want them to kind of work for this story. So overall, plotting a mystery is pretty standard. There's a few extra elements that you'll want to think about when you create the suspense that your readers will crave, and I will give that to Tani.
Woo!
Yeah, that was long-winded. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, good. We had chat in between and stuff, so you know, it's good.
Yeah, I think the red herrings are one of the strongest elements that set it apart from pretty much every other genre.
Yeah.
You can use red herrings in other genres, but it's not common. And obviously the red herring in a mystery is for like the whodunit part. But you definitely want to start out a mystery with a strong hook, because I mean, you want to start out any story with a strong hook, but something that kind of immediately grips your reader's attention, sets up the scene for the crime, or for the whatever has happened. And I mean, like opening line, not like in a paragraph, or not even, it can be a paragraph, but I wouldn't wait until you're like a couple pages in. Like if you can start it out with a strong hook in line 1, I think that is the best you can do.
Yeah.
And I say that because that's what I did.
Yeah. But mystery
But
kind of has that like that feeling to it. Like you want to be excited when you pick
you
it
want
up.
to, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and I feel like
Um,
the history I've read, it's like that first line is like, whoa, what? Like, what happened
yeah,
here?
And
exactly.
not to be that person, but I buy my books off of like two things, like one, the cover. I'm that person.
Yes.
And then
Sure.
to the first page. Like I read the first page. But if I read the first line and I'm already hooked, I buy that book like right away. Like there's no question. So
So it's a hint to everybody who wants Megan to buy their book.
yeah.
So, but in the mystery, like I said, like a strong hook, that it just sets and you should try and set the whole tone for the story. The tone can shift and change just like in anything else. But it should set your main character's tone. I know I said tone like 7 times. And then you also need to have a specific type of setting. So you want something that, and it all depends on what type of mystery you're writing. If you're writing a more lighthearted, like a cozy mystery, you could have like a small town, cute little scene, but you also want to have some darker elements to it. Like you can't have it like a Hallmark movie. You have to have, you gotta throw
Challenge
some
accepted.
you gotta throw some Lifetime moments in there. The weird dark movies. But like mine is set on an island, and so there's like a mix of both of those. It's a small town, but yet there's darker elements, and some of the like minor descriptions that I just toss in there that some of my readers have caught on are like, one of the things is a tree, and it's they're known for being like ominous, and I actually didn't know that when I wrote that, but anyways, so you want to set the scene, and like you picture like Sherlock Holmes, how when you're in his apartment, like it's darker, there's a skull, cough cough, and dark books, and the walls are even dark, so it kind of sets the tone for everything.
I'm sorry, but are we describing Sherlock Holmes or are we describing Meg's office?
You say that like it's a bad thing.
I don't know, maybe you
Well,
are.
So, and you can also use your scene to set up clues for future scenes or places of the crime or whatever it may be. And then you have to have a crime, obviously, and that is what's going to fuel the plot in the novel. And like I said with the hook, it should be revealed what the crime is in the first chapter.
Sorry, I was just saying hi. Some people are like saying hi, and
I was like, wait.
Sorry, Meg and I, when we're alone, we just kind of know that the other person does that. I apologize.
Okay. No, that's fine. If you wanted to say something, I didn't want to just talk over you. That's all.
No.
But yeah, the crime is what sets up the whole plot, basically. Because if you don't have a crime, then you don't really have a mystery, obviously.
Unless what the crime is the mystery.
Yeah, that's true. Well, but there's still a crime.
No, that's terrible advice. Don't go.
Worst crime you've ever heard in real life. Oh my gosh, there are just so many. I don't think I could ever pick a worse one because like they're all so bad.
Yeah, crime is bad and
they're so bad. I think there's some that stuck with me more because of like how they happened, but I would say there's not one that I could necessarily say is the worst.
Yeah.
I guess
think anything involving
open
kids.
that box on a video chat.
Yeah. And it's no problem that you're late, Alicia. We're just glad that you're here. We're excited.
Yep.
You. And yes, Bob, listen. I listen to a lot of murder podcasts, just let people know.
Yeah, I try not to because it's just too much for me. And that's
the human mind. Actually, when I went to university, there were 2 different ways I was planning on going. I was either going to go into forensic psych, or I was going to go do like neuropsych with like a specialty in psychosis. So Yeah, I really like the human mind.
Yeah, I guess that would be. My mom used to watch those all the time, and my dad was always paranoid.
Really, I like sit and eat popcorn whenever I watch those things, and I like take some notes down.
I like the darkest I like is like Aurora Tea Garden on Hallmark, but
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
some of them are definitely interesting, like the Zodiac Killer.
yeah. It's just
That one
really
is,
interesting, like just like the human brain and how it works, and yeah, like why people do what they do. I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I've always found it really fascinating. Megan thinks I'm crazy, but I find it fascinating. Why do people do what they do?
no, I think that's,
So,
Continuing on. Sorry,
yes,
that was
where
that
were we?
question took us off a little bit.
and then you have to obviously have the sleuth, if I'm saying that right. I've only read the word, but
Sleuth. Yeah.
is that right?
Yeah.
Sleuth?
Okay.
I didn't think it was Slayeth. My husband
You
makes fun of me
almost
for how I
got
talk
me.
sometimes.
It's just yeah.
Um,
I'm being side-eyed now forever by everyone.
but that's going to be the person or persons that help solve the
Hey,
crime.
Hi, guys.
And um,
Mhm.
and you some mysteries, like I write romantic suspense, so there's two people that are involved in solving or more. I have an entire police department, but the sleuther would be like your main character or two main characters. Like I said, I have two on mine. One is actually a detective, and the other one is just kind of the person who's at the heart of the crime. Um, but they're the ones who are going to be solving the crime or leading to the ultimate discovery.
Mhm.
You can raise the stakes by making the detective personally invested in solving the crime,
uh-huh.
and that actually, I think that works really well in romantic suspense. So I'm just tossing that in again because that's what I write. They can center around an amateur or an average citizen, or it can revolve around somebody who's a professional at solving these, like a detective. The character development of the sleuth is important, and they need a backstory that connects them to the crime or the killer, and a motive that explains why solving this crime is important to them. So they have to have a valid motive and not just be like some random person who was dropped into the center. Even if
They
it
threw
seems
a
that
dart
way.
at the board and decided they were going to solve a crime.
What?
They threw a dart at a board of activities to do, and they were going to solve a crime.
You could do that and then twist it. You could add that as a plot twist that like somehow they are involved or know the person or something. So that's always a possibility. So there's always ways you can tie it back in, even if you don't necessarily plan that ahead of time. Obviously, it's easier if you plan it, but and then obviously you're going to need your villain. They're called mysteries are called whodunits because the culprit is unknown until they're caught at the end. The story follows their movements, which propel the story forward. The main character and the reader discover the criminal's identity as the plot reaches its climax. And sometimes I have read some mysteries where it kind of starts out in like a third person point of view, where the murder or whatever it is being done, and so you are kind of in the mind of the person, but you don't know who the person is once you get into like the depth of the story. So that's another way you can do it. But like Megan said towards the beginning, you should have the villain kind of woven through the story at least a little bit, even if it's like when you're reading it for the first time, you're like, okay, why would they even include this person?
Yeah.
And then because you don't hear about them for a while, and then you see them again, and you're like, it doesn't really click.
It's kind of like that the theory that I use when I write is called Chekhov's gun. So like if you show a gun in the first act of the book, you have to use it by the end of the second act. Like there has to be a purpose for it. So and I use that with characters a lot too. So if you're introducing characters, there should be a reason that person exists. Otherwise, they kind of have to go into the character shredder and maybe be fed to another character and put those traits there, depending on how important they are to the story. But yeah, like for your villain, I feel like they need to be woven in, as you said.
Yeah, and like, because I read on episode, and there was a story that was on there, and the villain at the very end was like some random person who was just in the background, like, but they weren't mentioned in like the
I feel like
story.
it was a creator story, right?
I think so.
Yeah, because I remember that, and it was like not until they
I feel
revealed
like I read that
and they
too.
showed him, and I was like, he was always there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
but
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I personally didn't really like that because it was kind of like I felt cheated
Yeah.
because it's like he was there, but if I was reading the book, because it is a
Yeah.
book,
You wouldn't have
I
seen.
don't,
You
Yeah.
I
wouldn't.
wouldn't have seen him
Yeah.
in the
No.
way that it was written in the thing. And like she might have, I think it was a she author. She might have had it different in the book, but that's personally because I feel like your reader feels cheated. Because another thing that you had said is it has to be like
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
a
actually,
fulfilling
I think you
ending.
have like a little more leeway with an episode because
episode.
it's
Yeah.
visual. Like you would
Yeah.
like Netflix or screenwriting or whatever. But yeah, like in the novel, you have to be very descriptive, and you have to like because your main character is again the eyes and ears and everything of this crime. So yeah,
And I mean, even if you're at like a coffee shop and you mention them and there's like a weird vibe coming off of them, and that's
yeah,
all you mention, and then another part, a couple chapters later, a few chapters later, you mention them again, like, oh, they're here, this is weird, and then you connect. Well, this weird situation happened at the same time. This weird person was there, and that's something you, but linking them all together because otherwise the reader does feel cheated at the end, and it's
So
not fulfilling for
actually,
them.
I think I was telling you guys about this book on Wednesday when we had our meeting. I read this book, and it was about this mystery behind like these three women, and they were all being accused of having like, this is going to be really dark to say, but
no, I don't. I hate this book. Oh.
they were all accused of like murdering their children, and because they had similar circumstances happen to each of them, and so they truly believed it. And but through the whole book, you get so strongly convinced that the villain or whoever it is can't be one of these women or anyone who's actually been like talked about in the book. Like, you're so convinced that there's going to be someone who just comes right out of left field, that whenever they actually reveal out of the cast of characters that you've learned, you're just like, I never saw that coming. Like, you never would have guessed it in a million years. And the way she actually ended the book was really like really well done and really beautiful, and actually spoke a lot about like motherhood and child loss and stuff. It was really beautifully done. But yeah, like, and I really appreciate like the way that she was able to create that mystery and all those red herrings to the point where like you really didn't know what was going on. And to me, I'm like, that is a good mystery, is like at the end of it all being like, looking like, when I look back now at the rest of the book, I was like, oh yeah, I really was there the whole time. Yeah, like it was really there the whole time. So
As Scooby-Doo would say, the real monsters are people.
yeah. You guys might have lost me. I'm sorry. My internet is terrible. It is so cloudy here today. Like I said, we went from -50, which is like clear skies, like best connections in the world, to like +1, +2, which so like the snow is melting and it's pretty crazy. So we have I have really dark cast over skies. It doesn't look that way because I got a brand new ring light, so it looks a lot nicer than it is.
Hey, where were we at, Tommy?
Yeah. Anyway, keep going.
So yeah, like I said, it's important to have the villain woven through, even if it seems unimportant, through until you go back and they figure out who it is. And then you need the narrative momentum, which is just a constant, you're having your characters in constant motion. There's a push and pull between discovering the culprit and failing to discover the culprit and seeing, and that's within your red herrings. And I think they said there's typically, whenever I was doing my own research on this, no more than really 3 red herrings, because more than that is just kind of like, I'm bored. So just, but that push and pull, and not even with the red herrings, but just there's a danger element. There's actual like action within it. So it's like a cat and mouse where they're going back and forth. And as you are reaching that climax, it gets, excuse me, it quickens. So
Mhm.
like the stakes go up higher and higher and higher as you get closer and closer to the climax. So if the ultimate goal is to have the main character killed off, or that's the villain's goal, then
Mhm.
they're closer and closer to hitting that goal for the villain, and then obviously you're going to get saved because it's a happy book typically with a mystery. Otherwise it's like a horror, and I don't do horrors, but
Felt.
huh.
I said felt. Yeah, I'm not a
Yeah,
horror
I need a happily ever after, no matter what I'm reading. So that's why I hate horror. Um, and then obviously the clues. You have to have a trail of clues. They're the literary, literary, sorry, element that allows mystery stories to engage readers on a deeper level than other types of fiction. And that's when the reader can become
person.
the amateur sleuth, following the trail of clues to discover the identity of the culprit, the villain. And when you're writing the mysteries, you need to have an organized writing process. I don't agree with that. That's what everybody tells you. I don't have an organized writing process in order to keep track of what clues you're creating. But okay, yeah, you do need that. It helps a lot. You could still do it without it, but definitely helps if you have it. Because you need to be able to have everything flow and make sense. So,
Mhm.
um, and then another thing, obviously, is foreshadowing. You are going to be dropping hints of things that are going to happen in the future, or you're dropping hints of things that happened in the past that have an impact on what happens in the future. And that kind of is this thing with setting up the villain as well. So you can foreshadow the past. I don't think that's the right way to put it, but drop hints about the past that give the villain the motive that they have, if that makes sense. I know I worded that really awkwardly, but um, like the foreshadowing, you could tell a story that involves the villain that they don't know is the villain, that sets them
Mhm.
up to be the villain. This is their motive for it, but you don't realize that until the very end. And that's one of those things that kind of ties everything up into a
Mhm.
neat little bow. Um, and then, we talked about red herrings. It's going to build the tension, and each red herring, it becomes, you're kind of reaching closer and closer to achieving the goal of solving the crime, solving the mystery, discovering the villain, the murder, whatever it may be. Um, and they build the tension by creating other suspects and distracting the detective and the reader and lead them away from the true culprit.
Mhm.
So I think some of my favorite red herrings are the ones that are like people who are really close to the main character, but they just have like a darker side that you kind of see as a reader but don't fully understand. And then whenever it comes to them becoming that red herring, you're like, oh, that's definitely a possibility. But it's like a twist that's not actually a twist, that's still a twist. So
Mhm.
I know that made perfect sense to you guys. You have no confusion on that. But it's just like a twist disguised as a different twist.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and another red herring could be, making a situation seem more important to the main character, or another character than it actually is, and making the readers lead to believing that that person is the culprit when they're not. Um, there's an example in Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. There are 10 characters who are all potential suspects, and Christie creates red herrings by killing off each character one by one, and that's what creates the plot twists that send the reader into new directions in search of the killer. So, dropping off people, I'm not gonna lie, I've done that. I did that in my book, killing off a character that people were like 100% sure is the
That is such a
culprit.
Mhm.
I agree with you. Yeah. Sorry.
So,
Dropped in the
couple
comments
questions.
that good book, and I'm saying yes. It is such a good book. It's really good. It's a really well
Couple
done book.
couple
There are a
questions
couple
came in
things
the chat here. We've got
we're now
what's the best mystery you've read? Why, please? I'm not really a mystery reader. The closest I get they're on the other side of this chair, is the Ian Fleming spy fiction novels. Again, not really a mystery. They're really more of a thriller, but there is a few, I guess, aspects to that. Do you guys have mystery books that you guys read?
The book I was talking about is called A Room Swept White by Sophie Hannah. She's a very good mystery writer. And then, yeah, like I've read, like I said, I've read the Agatha Christie, and then There Were None. I think that's really good. Yeah, I'm not a huge mystery reader either. I've read some, like, I've read Hound of the Baskervilles and like that kind of stuff. But, so I mean, I'm not a huge mystery reader. When I read them, I normally enjoy them, but it's not like my go-to genre. I don't normally like hunt the mystery section for a new book. It's kind of like if I see a title that interests me, I grab it. Kind of genre thing for me. Tawny?
It's like a random one. It's like a mystery thriller. It's called Hangman's Curse by Frank Peretti. And I read it when I was a teenager, and I think that's what got me into my love of mysteries.
Yeah,
so I think that's probably the best one.
Friend read that. Yeah, he was really into it.
And that was they made a movie out of it, and the girl who plays Blair on Gossip Girl was in it. Looking back, I'm like, how was she in this movie? But I don't remember her name.
I would say yes, Sherlock Holmes is a mystery.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just put it in there. Sherlock Holmes is good. Yeah. It's been a while since I've touched those. I will say I have read Secret Lies and Deadly Ties, and I'm a fan of that. So that's Tawny's book. So yeah, I mean, I guess I do read it for the right. Basically, for me to read a book, there has to be not only, but I really want that romance. So, you looked at my books that are like scarce, but I'm building a library here. It's 98% mystery, or not mystery, romance.
You don't have to scroll. I wrote them down. So the other one came in that said, how late do you want a reveal to be? And so the answer to that is the climax is kind of your big.
That's right at the climax.
Yeah.
So right.
And then another person said that now you and I are the Bang sisters.
Yeah.
I will say I normally actually have them swept to the side. I put them out today for Megan because she wanted. But
we all agree they look good.
They're weird. I don't know. In 6 weeks, I have a reshaping scheduled, and then we'll see. I'll either go to that appointment or I will cancel it and grow them out. We'll see. We'll see. Stay tuned 6 weeks from now. Okay. Sorry, Tawny, you can go.
Oh, that's fine. And then obviously at the end, you need a satisfying ending, and it's similar to any romance. You have to have so everything needs to be wrapped up and tied with a neat little bow. And that's when you figure out who the ultimate villain is. And, whatever else, like I said, I write romantic suspense. So that's whenever your people come together at the end, like completely, and any of your red herrings are going to have to be like snipped. Like I said, needs the bow. So you're going to have to look back and prove that this person didn't do it, and this is how they didn't do it, or why they didn't do it. Their alibi or whatever it may be. So
the Clue.
Yeah. Oh, I love that game.
And then great. We have someone that are coming in. So Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None is a great one. Lots of red herrings. Sorry, Wrong Number is a one-act play that's very suspense mystery. Leighton Meester.
Leighton Meester's the name of
My Hangman's Curse.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Moving on to me. My turn. We're not going to go over time. We're definitely going to go over time, guys. So we do this, I don't know, we tend to do this with all of our genres. We tend to talk about like the psychology behind what actually draws people into reading. And of course, like when we do these sections, it's just designed to help you like think more about your target audience and who you're actually directing your work towards. So, suspense, obviously an uncomfortable pleasure. And effective mysteries and thrillers keep readers grinning and squirming at the same time. So as a writer, you can only hope to create that kind of tension. So minds want to worry. Ask anyone who's ever tried to meditate to actually stay in the moment and be present and not think about the million other things that's likely going on in your life is actually really difficult to do. And there are lots of theories about why our brains tend to wander towards negative outcomes or into examining situations that are probably incredibly unlikely to happen. Evolutionary wise, it's actually designed to keep us from having severe consequences. Worry is actually self-protective. So that's, why we experience that. But in fictional suspense, of course, the rules are kind of different. The same things that we hate doing, which is stressing and worrying all the time about things, become the thing that we actually really enjoy.
Okay.
We're drawn into that mystery, into the unknown, into potential harm and damage, and and so that is the kind of what you
we're drawn to damage.
Just makes me think of the reel I posted today.
Every water sign ever.
And honestly, as a mystery writer, if you skip those tension-raising moments, your readers are going to get frustrated and probably stop reading your book altogether. So do not miss them.
And
so
I feel
all
like
that
that applies to all genres, though. I think that applies to all genres, though. Like, it's boring if you stop tension.
You don't keep the tension high, you're going to lose your readers, for sure. All right. Well, if anxiety is uncomfortable and something that we tend to avoid, why do we take pleasure in suspense novels? So one, obviously, it offers control. If the story gets too intense, you can just put it down. You obviously can't put real life down. So that is a big thing that sets it apart. So it's obviously, fiction is a vicarious experience. It allows you to consider conflicts and themes in your own life, but in a safe way. Play is actually the opposite of depression, and so by engaging our imaginations, stories give our mind space to play. Adults actually consider fewer and fewer possibilities. We're more likely to jump to conclusions on things. So if we see something, whether it's a behavior or something new and different, we just come up with a conclusion all on our own. We don't have that same space, which is what play gives us, which is to come up with multiple scenarios, multiple conclusions and stuff like that, which is something that children do. If you watch them play, they come up with multiple scenarios, and they're willing to have different ideas of how something might end or what something might mean. And that is what we just stopped doing in adulthood. So, because of that, adults actually need to be reassured about things like safety, and of course, reading is safe. So to get lost in a mystery, even though there is danger, murder often, risk for someone to potentially die is in the main character, because it is a safe space, you are able to actually enjoy that that anxiety.
I think we've talked about this on another show where it's called like the discomfort zone.
I think we talked about it in horror. Yeah.
Yeah,
that you're able to enjoy that discomfort zone because it's different, you know? All right.
I do think, though, with mystery and romance and those genres, that you're going to have a happily ever after. Like, knowing that your character, the chances of your character dying are very slim.
Yeah.
So it's like you're reading a romance and you're like, your character's on their deathbed, but you know they're going to pull through because it's a romance. So it has to have a happily ever after.
Yeah.
So it kind of pulls back into that fulfilling ending.
Yeah. Exactly. Which actually, that's a great bridge into the fact that our minds want to complete narratives. So in suspense, obviously the whole idea is that you are trying to throw people off. You're constantly wondering who did it, what's going on, who are all these
I like
characters?
how formal Canadian Elle said who did it instead of who done it. Like, that would have been a perfect plug to use that. But we've got business casual here with
I will
proper English.
I will break away from Britain and I'll be more less formal. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry, I scrambled it.
I know, thank you.
Anyway, I like to serve.
I know. I feel like I'm gonna have to start over. Oh, okay. So even blah blah blah. Okay. So wherever I was, basically all I'm saying is that our minds crave completing the circle. So think about waking up from a bad dream or any dream where you actually didn't finish your dream. You automatically want to go back to sleep and you want to finish it. And if anyone's like me, you probably never get back to the dream. So that's, as a mystery writer, that's what you're doing. You're trying to create a narrative that's incomplete enough that readers keep turning the pages.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the same time, like Tani talked about, you want to have that really satisfying ending where everything kind of comes out whenever your reader looks back on the novel, they see who the villain was all along very easily. And that is what people like. People like to be able to close that circle and be able to look back and go, oh, like that makes so much sense, you know? So, and then finally, kind of talked about this in horror, but there's obviously a neurochemical side to it all. So I won't go into it as deeply as I did in horror for everyone's sake, because that's boring. But basically, so suspense activates your amygdala, so your emotional processing center, and then your adrenal glands are what obviously create the blood pressure rise, which is from all the suspense. So that activation creates a rush, but the thing about it is that it's a contained rush. Basically, your readers are essentially trying to microdose themselves with the neurotransmitters that create adrenaline. So to put it like simply, that's all they're doing. And of course, keeping in mind, it takes time for you to actually go back to baseline calm. And that's something that people like. They like to have that. So, but anyway, it is a way to activate your brain, and it's actually a healthy way. So it's fine. No one feel worried that you're hurting anybody. You're not. So anyway, so of course, like the nature of anxiety is uncertainty, and that is what you are trying to create for your readers. So basically, why people do it, in conclusion, is that they like to experience anxiety in a controlled way. So keep it coming. Give the people what they want. Woo!
Getting very dark here, not to be an old lady, but like that's why I'm yawning, because I'm like, ooh, it's like so cozy all of a sudden.
Wait, what? Is it getting darker here?
Yeah, it's getting dark here, yeah.
Oh,
and
it's getting really dark here.
I feel cozy, yeah. I just yawn like massively, sorry.
Beautiful. Here for it. It is getting darker here. It does not get light until 11 in the morning here, so it's just insanity.
So I'm gonna go ahead and hit our questions here. If you guys have any more for Tani, you want to throw them at her right now. Now is the time. Unless, of course, you don't have time now, in which case you can join our Discord, hunt her down there, and throw them there. Just saying. It's a happy space.
That's how I got her on here. I just hunted her down on Discord.
Yeah. That's the real reason why we started that Discord channel, is so that we can just poach you guys for our shows.
Yeah, it's pretty much what
trap
happened.
you in a little room.
New writers come on and they're like, ooh, we write this, and Megan and I are like, ooh.
We see you. All right. Okay, so what do you like in mystery novels? I don't read a whole lot of mystery, but what I like is, and this is going to sound really strange, but I watch mysteries and stuff. I like being able to look at it and try to like solve the crime myself, you know? and I think there's like a sixth satisfaction if you're like, oh my god, I knew it, and you know, you get that emotion. That's for me. That's what I like, is knowing that someone's a weirdo.
Yeah, I'm probably in the same boat as you. I also really just like the human mind, and I just always find it interesting to see how different people operate and think. But yeah, like mystery novel wise, I'm the same as you. Like if I figure it out, I'm like, yes, like I got this. But even when I don't figure it out and I'm surprised, at the same time, it's like, holy crap, that was some amazing writing that I couldn't figure it out. And I'm shocked that this person who I was 100% convinced was innocent was, you know, actually, you know, the person all along. Like just how they were able to throw in
bad instincts. I'm just kidding.
Sometimes I solve it, but you know, I'm just saying, like, there are just times when those red herrings are just strong enough that, you know, the author's really able to throw you off the scent of where they're going.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I think that's just really good writing if you can do that. You know. Yeah. What about you, Tawny?
I like trying to solve. Like, whenever I watch mysteries, usually with my mom, I typically am able to pick out who the villain is, and she's usually like shocked. I'm like, it's just because that's how my brain works. As a writer, like I think like, what are things that are going to throw my readers off or throw the people off or whatever. So I like being able to try and solve them myself, and then obviously it's kind of the opposite when I'm writing, is how can I throw my readers off the trail?
Yeah. I don't have any red, so I made a green flag.
I was gonna say, actually, I always know who the bad guy is because I'll be like watching a show and I'm like, oh my gosh, that guy is so attractive. I'm so into him. And then
there's like, something wrong with him.
And I know, like I was watching Shadow and Bone and I was like, well, I'm just gonna call it. I was like, this guy is
spoilers.
I'm not gonna say who it was.
Safe place for our viewers.
Yeah, I was texting Meg and I was like, I know this is who the bad guy is. I was like, 'cause I'm so into him. And Meg's like, I'm not going to say anything, but you have bad instincts.
Maybe see a therapist.
That's how I know. I'm like, if I'm attracted to you, you're probably not a good person.
Goodness.
You're not right.
There's a lot there. Okay. What is the structure of mystery novel? We talked about that. But I will go up there and give it to you real fast.
I have it as a drawing. Hold on. People can see my drawing again. Sorry for all my notes.
Yeah, so it's the introduction, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the conclusion. You're going to have the peaks that are clues, and then the questions are valleys.
And as Tawny said, when you're going up and down those peaks and valleys, like going downwards is a good place to throw in those red herrings as you need them.
Okay. And then when do you introduce the antagonist? We kind of talked about that. They should be like woven in. The trouble with mystery and that there is that the antagonist is not really known until the end. So wherever you want.
Yeah, if you're able to introduce them earlier on and then drop them a couple of times at least. But I think if you're able to introduce them earlier on, it makes it stronger at the end, in my opinion.
Kind of like a romance where you need to introduce the love interest really early.
Yeah.
So the romance is stronger at the end. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me. I feel like any mystery I've read, like the villain's always been...
Do you,
feel like ever make the antagonist a love interest? I mean, if I'm writing about my life.
Yes.
Her autobiography.
My autobiography. The love interest is the antagonist in the end.
Yeah, I write dark romances, yes. So, okay, do you feel like you have to be different from other mystery writers? That's for Tawny, it sounds like, because I'm not...
I'm not a mystery writer.
Not truly.
I mean,
mystery.
I think it's important if you're a writer. I mean, you can be compared to other writers, but just to have your own voice, your own writing voice, your own plot twists, your own character development, how you do things. I think it's important to stand out no matter what genre you specialize in. So just finding your own voice is important in writing in general. So I'd say yes, trying to be a little bit different from other mystery writers, but there's only so many different things you can do with the plot and everything. Yeah. So.
But, you know, going in that, I do think that that's like a writer thing. Like, you want people to be like, oh, damn, that's a Megan Alexandria novel, you know? Yeah. Are there a certain amount of red herrings to put into a novel? Tawny?
I'd say a minimum of 2, maximum of 3 or 4.
Mhm.
It depends on how strong they are. As long as it's not too much where it's my phone just went to 20%.
Felt.
I do a Pisces.
So just like I said, minimum of 2, max I'd say of 3 or 4, depending on the intensity of them.
Right.
And is mystery genre lucrative? Is it a big market? I'd say, yeah, it's a big market.
I'd say, yeah. True crime right now is huge. Like, I feel like true crime has just exploded, especially as podcasting has become more popular too. So mystery, I think, is probably a pretty big genre for those people. It's kind of weird that I'm not as into mysteries.
Yeah, if you didn't catch the spiel that Elle did, people are sick and they like to be scared. So mystery is a big market.
What's crazy is that I literally live like in the middle of nowhere. Like I've shown Megan, and Alicia as well has seen it too. I've shown like I have like these windows, and outside it'll be like pitch black, and I'll be like listening to really crazy podcasts. And yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me.
For those of you people on YouTube who are watching this in the future, go back about 2 minutes and 37 seconds and listen to Elle talk about all the guys she's attracted to.
Just waiting for that murderer to come take me away.
Okay, guys, if you don't have any more questions.
Mark you down as worried.
Yeah.
Worried for your mental health, Elle. Mark me down as that. Okay.
If you guys don't have any more questions, throw it Tawny here. Our hour is up. We've gone a little bit over on it. Geez, that wasn't even a sentence. I'm not gonna lie to you. I have nachos waiting on me, so I'm trying to get out of here. It's not that I don't like you guys; it's that I like nachos a lot. So
Elle Meredith writes, you know what? It's not a lie based on where I live. So anyway, keep going.
So, you know, yeah, thank you so much, Tawny, for coming on. Do you want to plug yourself again?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm on everywhere. My name is Tawny Suchi, most places except Wattpad. I'm Tawny Scripted, and I write mystery / suspense / Christian romance / a little bit of everything. So
you've got a link in your bio to all your work, and the one that's on Kindle Vella right now is I'm gonna butcher this. Goodness, I just had it a minute ago. Deadly
Secrets, Lies, and Deadly Ties.
Jeez, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I totally just rattled it off. It was completely fine a second ago, and then I just lost it.
That's fine.
But that is on Kindle Vella, so readers can catch you there as well. And then you have some work on Wattpad.
Sorry, I was just saying support indie authors.
Yeah. So, all right. Next week we're going to be talking about plotting. So whether you are a panster, a planster, or a plotter, we'll try to have some content for you there, and we'll talk about all the different types. So
yeah, absolutely. Same time, same place. We want to see you there.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Tawny.
Thank you.